We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. Something to talk about, although not the thing you would have thought we would talk about. GameStop. That's right, GameStop. Corporate involvement. Recently, GameStop was able to issue huge amounts of stock to keep Roaring Kitty from squeezing GameStop to unprecedented levels. If you had never heard of this situation, let me explain it to you very succinctly. Someone out there in Wall Street, in the world of derivatives, which is very complex, either was short GameStop massively or still is short GameStop massively. Like, in a way, the rumor was and still is that they're short more stock than actually exists. It was a Wall Street men behaving badly incident. Now, is that incident over? Are they still short? Well, we don't know. We don't know, but I suspect there still are shorts in GameStop. Okay. Now that's one side. Now, every time GameStop would squeeze and go higher off Roaring Kitty posts recently, all right, GameStop, logically, their answer to what looks like a hyper-inflated or mooning stock price becomes an opportunity for them to raise money, just like Michael Saylor. It's like, oh, wow, look at this demand for our stock. We're going to sell billions. You guys want the stock, or there's some short seller out there? No problem. We'll just issue more shares. Now, meanwhile, GameStop, this company that, okay. I mean, I used to shop at GameStop when I had a Nintendo Wii. Wow, does that date me back, 20 years? I used to love going to GameStop, but now GameStop is this brick and mortar store where it's odd because, gaming is probably all online digital. Every time I boot up my computer, Microsoft is trying to sell me, some Xbox game. So I don't exactly know how GameStop keeps its brick and mortar locations going. And that's exactly the point. So GameStop's sitting around like, okay, we're sitting on billions. What do we do? Well, how about we buy some Bitcoin on the dip? How about we buy Bitcoin? Everybody else is doing this Bitcoin hedge fund thing. Michael Saylor is selling stock and buying Bitcoin. Why don't we do the same thing? Because it's really funny, because if someone is short out there and Bitcoin rises and GameStop is now attached to Bitcoin and somebody, again, is short, GameStop stock could go up. So if they can't figure out what to do with their stores, which, I don't even know what they would, they're just like, you know what, let's buy Bitcoin. Let's turn GameStop, maybe those brick and mortar retail locations can have a little Bitcoin booth in it. Either way, GameStop stocks got a little life, a little bit. Now, that's news note point number one that's woke up the market. Now, news point number two, again, wasn't on your bingo card necessarily. Donald Trump comes out and says, one of the reasons that the United States cares about Taiwan is that Taiwan is where a lot of the world's semiconductor chips are made. So theoretically, if the Chinese came in and took over Taiwan, the U.S. would be cut off from critical semiconductor chips that are made there. Taiwan Semiconductor Company, that's literally its name, is one of the biggest players out there. So what does the orange man do? Well, he comes out and says, hey, these guys have got our chip business back and we want it back. What does that mean? I don't know exactly, but Intel, a completely mismanaged U.S. chip company, the stock has life, especially after NVIDIA ate their lunch and their CEO or former CEO at Intel, screwed up massively over a period of years. And then yesterday, thanks to the orange man, Intel woke up. And then after Intel woke up, XRP woke up and is up 5% as we're talking on this broadcast. So let's take a moment to review. corporate adoption of Bitcoin in a way that's fun and makes headlines, right? It's not, Disney Corporation decides to buy Bitcoin. No, it's GameStop wants to get a short squeeze going in its stock again using crypto. Orange Man, I want made in America. And everybody in crypto goes, hey, I remember that. Let's buy the made in America cryptos. So we got some stuff to talk about today, some charts to look at. I got an antivirus update, a decent story, right? Good news and bad news. Personally, I think it's all good, but I'll try to be as objective as possible. Let's welcome who's here. We have Yav, Carmenko, Diogo, Thomas, Taz Pinball, Roby, Warmon, what's up? Arendam, Alexandra from Europe, Arrow Buck, Rockfinder, welcome. Old Smoky, Marcos, Crypto Scam One, and Vanessa. Good morning to the Doldrums Crypto Market Update. Berkeley, what's going on? Okay. Let's talk about something because we actually got something to talk about. GameStop stock pops after crypto possible investment. Okay. CNBC, the company may not follow through with investments and is still exploring the option. So, is it a headline or are they going to do with it? Are they going to do it? Noting that MicroStrategy now has 447,000. I like how they refer to Bitcoin as tokens. Okay. Watch out. If GameStop's doing it, you may have other companies do it. And if GameStop actually does it, you have a potential for that squeeze to get going. Because again, no one knows if that company, if they're actually short or not, meaning Wall Street. So very interesting development. Now, 14 states sue to block uncovering government abuses. Walmart gaining market share among affluent shoppers. Best week for Intel on record, fueled by JD Vance's U.S. chip pump. Again, we'll go over. I've got Made in America on Banter Bubbles. We'll just pull it up and look at it. The simple fact of the matter is, be careful when this administration pivots back towards crypto, that you've got the right cryptos on your book. You got new cryptos and the American-made cryptos. All right. DAX's upside panic. Now, this is one of the things that, it is a major head scratcher. People in the stock market are looking for something to do, obviously, right? So the S&P isn't doing much. They're not going to get the returns out of tech stocks that they thought, although one of them is doing great. Okay. But everyone's worried about NVIDIA. Everyone's got to pile out of whatever they're in and get in something that they deem to be safe. Okay, well, there's probably going to be a new government in Germany, so let's moon German stocks. And German stocks have, historically, DAX is a very powerful index. So DAX has become like a meme index for Europe changing its mind on politics. Now, anyone who's out there who's from Europe can weigh in on that as to whether or not that makes any sense. But the market is in a mood to moon something. That's good, because eventually that comes over to crypto, right? And there may be no limit as to some of this stuff that they're piling into to get away from the US AI trade, which, I don't know, is not overdone in terms of like, can you find individual AI stocks? But saying that AI levitates the entire market, I don't know about that. I think AI levitates something like Bitcoin, where it's like, what will a machine use to transact one day, right? Bitcoin represents a new age, freedom, a lot of the things that, AI may give individuals. Everybody always assumes it's going to go to the dark side. That's possible. But in the meantime, there's hope. And that Bitcoin is attached to that potentially prosperous future. Now, again, on the subject of Economic data, lower rates, and the dollar. Okay. U.S. government starts massive layoffs. JP Morgan, massive layoffs. Tech companies are doing stealth layoffs, pulling back hiring practices that they've used in the past so that they can lay people off, right? These big tech companies, they're investing in equipment and they're doing so by letting people go. Is that sad? Yes. Again, the darker side of all this. How do you protect yourself against that? It's got to be investing in Web3. It's like you got to be invested in the future. I have to be, right? Because if you don't own a piece of the future, just like if banks don't turn around and figure out how to somehow get in the crypto game the way BlackRock did. I mean, BlackRock did it in a very simple fashion by getting an ETF going, but what's everyone else going to do? Right? What's everyone else going to do? Like if you don't invest in Web3 and the whole world changes and some of it's positive and some of it's negative, what are you personally going to do? Like how do you hedge? How do you hedge the whole world changing right before your eyes? Well, it used to be long Nvidia. Okay. But is that going to work forever? I actually don't think so. I mean, Nvidia is probably okay, but we'll find out in 10 days. Gold nears 3,000. What happens next? Exactly. Can gold go parabolic? This is the question that no one is asking except me. So think about this for a second. You have somebody like GameStop giving Bitcoin a little bit of an edge potentially. You have Made in America is definitely back because they're not kidding about this thing with Taiwan and that they want all these chips. They want these chips made here. So if they have to do what the Chinese did and subsidize lending and things like that, they're going to do it because they want American chip companies rocking. Price of Bitcoin on Valentine's Day, 2015, $250, right? 2020, $10,000. That's where Michael Saylor came in and was like, you know what, I'm buying it. And what was funny about Bitcoin back then was that Bitcoin at that time stood completely still, right? This was after the COVID thing hit. Bitcoin stood completely still as DeFi summer and tokens raged to the point where Bitcoin maxis were calling my boss going, okay, what altcoin should I buy? Like Bitcoin was abandoned by the side of the road, right? Until Michael Saylor came in, until DeFi summer topped. Everyone forgets that, right? Bitcoin could be doing the same thing right now, right? No, if sometimes when something goes down and sits, it's bad. But Bitcoin has gone up and sits. Could you have a retracement? Could you have another one of these flash events? Maybe. But just remember what happened when Bitcoin was at 10K. Michael Saylor came in and was like, I don't care. I'm buying it. Then he came in at 20K. And that's what blew everybody's mind. Michael Saylor has no problem paying round numbers. He's bought a bunch of Bitcoin over 100 already, right? Like the whole history of Bitcoin literally has been forgotten. The only thing that people remember is that, oh, I missed out. You haven't missed anything. There are so many tokens. There are so many tokens like, Solana and Render were two tokens we looked at yesterday, right? ETH is going to bottom soon if it hasn't already. So anyway, 2025, the price is 96,000. 10 years ago, it was at 259. And I submit to you a very simple question. What cryptocurrency or what digital asset can you buy that will still be here in 10 years? And if it is, what price will it be trading at? This is not a commonly discussed topic, something I decided to throw out there. Okay. So guess what, everybody? My boy RFKJ just got confirmed. So what does that mean? Well, that means contrary to the interests and power of pharmaceutical companies, food companies, everybody in the government on the healthcare side now, like the Food and Drug Administration, the Center for Disease Control, and all these characters that, I don't know, let's just say, because we got to keep this off, YouTube. Whatever went on back in 2020, the little episode where, people were sneezing. These characters are in so much trouble. Okay. And this guy, who, remember, he had his uncle and his father pass away early at the hands of bad guys, which led him to, have a substance problem for 14 years. Then he cleans himself up and dedicates himself to the environment and American health. This guy just got through Congress. In other words, the orange man doesn't say, okay, yeah, you go in this job. People in Congress had to vote for this guy, knowing full well that drug companies and food companies, somebody's going to wind up going out of business by the time he gets through with litigation and government enforcement against all these people that are out there. Those people did not have the power to stop this guy from getting what they call confirmed, meaning, Donald Trump can say, I want this guy, but the American Parliament or Congress has to agree. Let's think about that for just 1 second. Seriously, I've talked about it, but now we have to really talk about it because now he's in. The orange man can pull this off. If they were afraid to stand up to the orange man over this, they're not going to stand up to the orange man about anything. So if the orange man wants made in America crypto, Congress is just going to go, okay. And that's easy for them because you know what? The orange man got the hard thing through, and I'm telling you, he did it with Edward Snowden. He said, I'm going to pardon this guy, and if you don't want him to, get his clearances restored and be your boss, you're going to do what I say. So, yeah, XRP wakes up the next day, ironically, off GameStop, going back to a saying that I've been trying to talk about on the show. It doesn't matter until it does. This represents the power of the orange man because I got news for you. This guy, again, he has sued drug companies. He has sued government agencies. He's going to wind up helping Tulsi Gabbard with the intelligence community and all this reform. I mean, yes, he's got one particular job, but undoubtedly there's going to be like a cross-functional assistance that he can provide. Okay. So the orange man wants crypto higher. It's going higher. And everybody has forgotten that. Nicole Shanahan revealed that she will be an advisor. Okay. So again, a lot of the guys that are working with RFK are not bought by big pharmaceutical companies. What happens when these people with this mentality go, okay, we're going to go clean this up, and then they're going to go, what can we do with Web3? Everybody has forgotten that. And I still don't think people get it. Okay, so I actually clicked on it last night. I took the chance. Ben Armstrong is back with some kind of giant manifesto. I'll come off the screen share with this. I haven't said anything about this on the air, but I'll take 5 minutes to do it now. So for anybody who doesn't know, Ben Armstrong is BitBoy Crypto. He was the biggest influencer last cycle, and he could have been the biggest influencer in the history of crypto. He was some guy, I saw videos of BitBoy with a hat on backwards with green paint on his walls when he started, just making videos in his house. And then all of a sudden, he had a million followers. He just exploded. So it was XRP and Cardano went up, and his YouTube channel went with it. And then, of course, things happened. Bear market happens, and he gets in trouble, right? He makes some decisions in his personal life, and then next thing you know, he's essentially out of his own company in a huge court battle and a divorce. And recently, the guy disappeared, shut off his Twitter account and scared everybody, for real. I know a guy, Like I know a guy who's reputable in the YouTube influencer industry. I spoke to him and he was concerned. He was very concerned, right? I put it into Perplexity and Perplexity said, there's a 70% chance that you should be concerned, right? Now, I know this is going to sound really weird, but I've been through hard times. I was recently and in the past. And what I can tell you is if you're upset, don't be alone. So, Ben, if you're listening to me, you're probably not. But if you're listening to me, don't be alone. Okay. Now, that said, you always want people in crypto to succeed. I know that sounds crazy. I know there's a lot of bad people out there. I know this crypto is filled with scammers and wackos. But my final word is this. We are all better off if the people who originally helped get crypto off the ground somehow make it, somehow come through. They don't have to be glorious superstars, but we don't have some sad, sad story about some guy giving up on crypto and, more importantly, giving up on himself. So, Ben, if you're out there, whatever the heck it is you're doing, stay strong, okay? Establishing the Make America Healthy Again Commission. Again, right? Who's going to stop this guy? Nobody. And when all these venture capitalists that are in charge of crypto, when they get rolling, they're not going to stop. Crypto, XRP and Intel may be correlated. And you may be looking at me like, dude, what are you talking about? And I'm saying the same thing. I woke up this morning. I go, oh my God, I'm going to have to talk about XRP and Intel and RFK. Well, yeah, because that's what's happening. Okay. So the price of eggs, I've been joking about it, and now it's everywhere, right? It's everywhere. Okay. I mean, you know, Eagle King went to Costco the other day and there were no eggs. So yeah, it's the bird flu problem, right? Right. And how did the bird flu problem come about again? I don't know. Can you refresh my memory as to how all these chickens somehow perished and inflation got heated up? Most of the inflation that occurred, most of it over the last, say, year was like manufactured, right? It's like, oh, we have a sabotage incident at a food factory, and then we have bird flu, and then we have this. To me, it looked like it was being done on purpose. Now, I know, okay, you can make an argument either way. I'm not buying into this. This is somebody taking the American people out to the woodshed on purpose, which, if you're looking at the government financing numbers and all the money that the government has wasted, now you know. That wasn't a believable statement that, somebody was out to defraud the American people or somebody was out to hurt the American people for whatever reason. Now, we have a metric for it in the price of eggs, right? Because nothing registers. Like if you said this, the Pentagon spent $600 million on sushi, that doesn't really register. Sounds outrageous, but it doesn't register. What registers is whatever happened with eggs, our food production facility, germs appearing out of nowhere. You got to take care of yourself, right? The egg problem segues to self-sovereignty. You must take care of yourself because there are people out there that don't want you to be okay, which is what Make America Healthy Again is all about, right? In other words, this is about self-sovereignty and having some big entity not telling you, A, what to do, and B, giving you things that are unhealthy. And this is somebody, I don't know, because it's not all bird flu, right? There were chicken production facilities that experienced sabotage, fires. Look it up. Of course, now it's filtering through. Every time you go by the grocery store, every time you go by the eggs, you want to hear my Jersey accent going, yeah, XRP or made in America or self-sovereignty, because this is not going to stand with the orange man. And when he pivots back towards crypto, watch out. Only 992,297 addresses have more than one Bitcoin. You know, folks, you got a supply shock in gold. And if gold goes parabolic and Trump goes American made, and this all happens at the same time. So if you have a supply shock in gold that triggers a supply shock in Bitcoin, and then you have Trump coming out with American made cryptos or Web3 when his guys start. Because remember, one guy had 90 days to say something and another guy had 127 days to start up things like the strategic reserve, the sovereign wealth fund, and all this other stuff that everyone's forgotten about because it didn't immediately moon your bags. So when they pivot back to this and you're in the middle of a supply shock, watch out. Now, I know sitting here, your bags suck. I know it sucks, right? Maybe sucks a little bit less today because we got some green on the board. But yesterday, it's like, failed rally. Everything looks terrible. And I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid, but I just cannot get negative. I just cannot get negative, right? Well, we'll look at the Intel charts. Okay. Now, speaking of self-sovereignty, I don't even know what to make of this. But it looks like ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, has just put, is about to put its American audience out of business. Because, what do you really do on TikTok? I do TikTok. I got a phone call from my daughter the other day. He's like, oh my God, Dad, your TikTok is huge. It's like, it's like 35,000 followers, right? She's like, oh my God, Dad, look at your TikTok. You showed up on my For You page. Meanwhile, TikTok is like, you don't like us anymore? Okay, great. We'll replace your entire American audience with AI. Look at this. This is what you do on TikTok, right? You go to TikTok shop, you sign up, you say, hey, look at these cool sneakers, or you do regular videos wearing, some sort of like special hat. I could do it, but it's not my brand. They just put everybody out of business using AI, and they could do it to anybody. Now, I have my own strategy on this, but you got to have a strategy. You got to have a strategy because this AI thing is going to change the world every 4 months, I think, quarterly. Every quarter, you're going to have and the Chinese are involved now, right? They launched DeepSeek. Okay. They spent a lot of money on DeepSeek. Don't believe that it was built for $5 million. They spent a lot of money on DeepSeek. And the Chinese, per Kai-Fu Lee, who I told you about yesterday, is a guy who wrote what I call the original AI books back in 2018. Kai-Fu Lee is like, yeah, the Chinese are way ahead on this. So every 3 months, you're going to have this massive advancement in AI, which is funny because, everybody wants to dump the AI cryptos. Everyone wants to dump this. Lush, right? I don't know. We'll pull up the chart. Lush, which I'm looking at as a project, they supposedly have the technology, right? I talked to the project directly to do stuff like this, to have Bud Light create an influencer on their platform and have some human being streaming about Bud Light 24 hours a day. ByteDance already has it. It's freaky, right? So when you look at this is why I'm leaving it up here so you can look at it. You look at this and you go, what's my hedge? What is my hedge against some computer disrupting my life? Or how can I benefit from some computer helping me in my life? Like, how can I benefit? Like, okay, well, I got this cool AI program that helps me make thumbnails. What else can I do? So you can have to do it, or you can want to do it, or both. And then the orange man comes in and adds the major rocket fuel. Again, I cannot be bearish. I got an analyst that I work with. She's like, dude, there's no way I'm getting depressed about this. For God's sake, she's giga bullish ETH. Want to know how many people are going to watch our giga bullish ETH videos? Not many, right? But the ones that do are smart, because the day the world changes and the day somebody comes in and does something big on ETH and does something huge that changes the world, please think about it. Okay. The guy from El Salvador, who everyone laughs at, okay, met with Michael Saylor this afternoon. Bitcoin was discussed. Can you imagine if strategy, now that we're done with the cringe? I'm really glad Mike has pivoted back to the orange tie. I like this. Whatever we were doing before, blah, cringe. Imagine if Michael Saylor opens up, like, I don't know, a Bitcoin hedge fund office in El Salvador. Wow. Introducing DOOD, the official token of Doodles. Okay, so gaming NFTs, not dead. Not dead. This whole idea of gaming communities and NFTs, especially with Pudgy, despite the volatility connected to physical objects, why does everyone think Web3 is dead? Why does no one want to talk about it when you have stuff like this coming out, right? So, I mean, Doodle's floor price up 12%. Okay, that's nice. But again, in 2020 and 2021, this NFT thing was a monster mania. Now, I don't think it could come back as a monster mania unless there's something connected to gaming and gaming assets. So that would imply Microsoft getting involved. But there are components of this market that people they've just totally abandoned. In other words, everyone thinks this is a top, but really, if you look at it, it's more like a bottom. Because I know that you may be looking at some of the stuff I put up on the screen and go, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I'm not bullish. Yeah, you can't sell it to me. I'm depressed. Okay. That's not a top. That's a bottom. Right. Now, everyone's going to be like, okay, dude, you're crazy. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to keep on doing what I've always done, which is keep on keeping on, because the fact of the matter is there are bullish catalysts out there, and it doesn't matter until it does. Okay. After dinner with Saylor, one must stack. Unfortunately, with Michael Saylor, like I said, the cringe of the MicroStrategy name change scared everyone, including me, because of contrarian theory. I submit to you this. Bitcoin should have gone down after that cringe. Now, it didn't. So, if something's supposed to go down and it doesn't, what's it going to do? Or maybe Bitcoin has one thrust lower on NVIDIA or whatever, and that could be your massive buying opportunity. The market should have gone down. The whole market should have cascaded lower, and some alts did melt down after that. But Bitcoin didn't. XRP didn't. Many made in America cryptos didn't. Cardano went up. Who knew? Litecoin went up. Who knew? Okay. The definition of a surprise is something you can't anticipate. But what you can anticipate is more surprises. More surprises on AI that drive that narrative. More surprises, say, in DeFi, because banks just can't sit around and miss this. They can't. Right? And as soon as the market starts moving again, they got to have a strategy. Hopefully, they're not sitting on their hands. All right, now let's talk about this because it's worth talking about. So last night, antivirus, right? So we'll spend 10 minutes on this. I'll give you my opinion. We'll see what the market says. So I've talked to this guy. I know who's running the show at Antivirus. Antivirus is the resurrection of John McAfee. I probably shouldn't say it that way, but basically they have an AI model of the most famous crypto tech influencer ever. Not most famous, not famous like Steve Jobs, but infamous, right? He wrote the Declaration of Cryptocurrency Independence. His personal life literally was like James Bond, right? Fighting bad guys, doing crazy stuff, wild parties. Oh, yeah. And by the way, you may have heard of McAfee antivirus program. He figured out how to keep viruses off a computer when a computer operating system was brand new. So he figured out all this and then lived his life like an action hero. And that's a lot harder than you think it is. Meanwhile, he also declared himself independent of the intelligence community, tax collectors, and all these things. He said all these things in 2018. People thought he was nuts. Nuts. He wasn't nuts. He was a genius. So the people closest to him took publicly available information and privately available information and started to trained an AI agent that was going to tweet, then talk, then be a video. Okay. I came in, I got tokens, I promoted it, I bought it myself. So I own this. And then I find out that they're going to hire Mario Newfall, if that's how you pronounce it. So they're going to hire a guy with 2 million followers, or they hired a guy with 2 million followers to do stuff with Janice McAfee, right? John McAfee's eloquent widow. So Janice McAfee and Mario Newfall, we're going to do podcasts and interviews and all this stuff over the next 4 months as a way to draw attention to this meme coin, which trades with the symbol AINTI. Make sure you get the contract address from the official McAfee Twitter feed that has 1 million followers. I don't give out contract addresses. Okay. So I own this token. And last night, in a story that is so typical of what happened with McAfee. If you don't know what happened with John McAfee's life, I'm not going to explain it all to you. But this story is very, very, very in line with the way people treated him. So follow me here. This little project sends tokens to this huge influencer. Huge. Like Elon responds to his tweets. This guy proceeds to take the tokens and dump a large share of them. And then essentially calls back the project, says that they got a phone call from somebody and they don't want to do it anymore. And they didn't refund the money. So let me ask you something. Who called them on the phone? Who called them on the phone and said, Mr. 2 million influencer incorporated out of Dubai, hose this project and this widow and walk away? Like, who told that? Who does that? Who would do something like that when you're at that level? Like, if it was some guy out of his basement, okay, crypto is filled with people who are not that nice. But why would a big person do that? I tell you why. Because someone scared him. Someone called him up and said, you know what, dude, don't do it. Now, so when I heard the news, of course, people were disappointed. The community wanted all this hype and all this stuff. But the fact of the matter is, when you work with these super big guys, you get the initial lift, but you need additional content coming after that, which is where a guy like me can come in, right? Because that's what I do, because I'm into it regardless. But let me ask you this. Why would somebody try to stop this project? They're scared of this project because John McAfee was right about everything. Like the attention that Elon is getting, saying the things that he's saying, John McAfee said 5 years ago. So they tried to stop the project. And guess what? The project is still here. It's still there, right? Everyone was like, oh, yeah, well, the guy, whoever it is, was like, yeah, when Mario Newfall or whoever, however you pronounce his name, somehow just drops this project like a hot rock and doesn't refund the money and makes them look bad. Everything it's gonna die. I'm like, wait a minute. No, it's not. Because you know what? Mario Newfall is now short antivirus at a 10 million market cap. Because that's effectively what he said. He's like, I don't like it, and I'm gonna make a bet, and I'm gonna take legal risk that this project doesn't make it, and I'm short at 10 million. Now, here's what I haven't said yet. This guy effectively bear posting it and getting short publicly when he should have promoted it, that'll live forever. Can you imagine like goat coin, fart coin, right? All these meme coins trade for huge valuations. You think we're not going to have a talking John McAfee? You think that, I mean, they shut the Twitter feed down, right? You know, Twitter said, yeah, you can't have this on the platform because, you know, I don't know, whatever reason, you're impersonating somebody or whatever. Okay, so we'll move it to Truth. They got to move it somewhere else. I understand setbacks, but they tried to stop the project and they're not stopping the project, right? And no one is asking these questions, right? Like we got talking, walking makeup people courtesy of ByteDance. You think we're not going to have talking John McAfee? A year from now, or whenever, I'm going to be holding a little device and I'm going to be walking down the Las Vegas Strip talking to a hologram of John McAfee. And Mario Newfall shorted it at 10 million market cap. Like, look at this. Like, this, I'm not making this up. This happened. Eagle King had this morning. We got 30. He's got, the guy who runs the project's got 30 people working on this full time. And Mario Newfall just shorted it at 10 million. And last night, if you look at the chart, this is unbelievable. Like, everyone packed it in twice. So they sold it here. Again, the anatomy of a chart, right? So some guy comes on the Twitter space and, you know, really gives them the business about how the contract was handled. You know, he was a little harsh, but, you know, okay, you know, the deal didn't work out. And if a deal doesn't work out, you have to ask yourself, okay, did I negotiate this the right way? Whatever. Because you know what? The head of the project put his personal money in. It wasn't the project's money. So this grumpy old man comes on and gives them the business about how the contract got handled, and everyone dumps the token. Everyone dumps the token. Right? And then it comes back, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like literally running home to get involved in this. I'm listening to the Twitter space. I got involved like right here. Okay. And then I can't even believe it. I don't even know what happened. They dumped the token again overnight. It's like when I go to sleep and can't tweet about it, they sell. And then I just draw this out, right? Because I'm sitting here with one of my other analysts last night looking at this, right? You know, and maybe this is more entertaining than looking at the price of eggs or talking about Intel, because I know y'all just want something that goes up. I know what y'all want. I want the same thing. I'm just telling you right now, I bought more last night. I came home. I'm talking to my analyst, and I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. There's no sell the fact on anything Mario Newfall does. There's no sell the fact. So, you know, he could come out and do this huge Twitter space or these huge podcasts and get everyone's attention. And that's great. I mean, that you can cut the video up. I mean, that stuff can live for a long time. But there's no hype and disappointed. There's no buy the rumor, sell the fact. None of that. What you have is Mario Newfall short at 10 cents. And that lives forever. That lives forever. Like, I know it's going to sound insane. It's because it's the guy's personal money. If Mario Newfall went to refund the money, I would say, no, Mario, you keep it, bro. We're going to tell the whole world all the way up to 2 billion that you shorted it at 10 cents because someone tried to stop the project. They're not going to stop the project. The AI agent is going to be talking on the antivirus website, as I understand it, in the next week. And then they're going to put it on another form of social media if Twitter won't reinstate the account. You cannot censor price, and this AI agent is going to talk somewhere. And it's not just going to talk. I mean, it's like, you know, it's you're going to be able to see it. You could do it right now. And are you telling me this DeepSeek is open source? Right? Let's look at Lush. Let's like, you know, come off that for a second, right? So just as a point of information, we found out last night that the Trump coin, changed the game for antivirus, right? That's why antivirus was able to launch and go all the way up to 80 million, right? Because Janice McAfee got involved. right? And there was just generally less risk of doing any type of celebrity meme coin, because if the Orange Man and Melania are doing it, then we can do it too. Except the difference is we got some guy trying to stop us. Just like you have guys trying to stop the Orange Man and guys protesting, guys, judges trying to say that they can't implement the executive orders. There's always somebody out there trying to stop something good. Guess what? It's not going to happen. You can't censor the price of the Orange Man's meme coin, right? You're not going to stop RFK. You're not going to stop XRP. And you're not going to stop John McAfee. You're just not, right? You're just not. It's not going to happen. Okay, I wanted to put up Lush. You know, everyone says that I missed virtuals. Now with this, I don't own it yet. Okay, I don't own it yet because I'm too busy pouring money into antivirus. But the guy that helped me understand antivirus and stay with it, Just Dario, likes this project. And I've talked to these guys. Now, this is not a Lush shill directly, right? It's not. But these guys have the type of technology, according to them and Just Dario, that TikTok just displayed. I'm sorry, ByteDance just displayed. Where, you know, you could create an influencer and these guys want to do it in a tradable way. Now, you look at the project, you look at its stuff, you know, you can make the determination or the intellectual leap that one day these guys will be able to do this. But this trades at 4 million market cap. And once upon a time, virtuals traded at 4 million market cap and no one touched it. And then, of course, it did a 23,000x. And then at 5 billion, it was a much better buy. Right? Nobody wanted to buy it at 1 billion. Nobody wanted to buy it at 2 billion. You were scared to buy it at 3 billion. It went to 5 billion and then it looked great. And then it went back to 2 billion. There's stuff out there trading at a 4 million market cap, antivirus. You know, I gotta find the Valentine's Day tweet again. Here we go. Right? What is the purpose of tweets like this? To remind you that there's stuff out there that no one cares about. No one cared about Bitcoin. Somebody brought Bitcoin to me in like early 2017. And I didn't understand it. I go, wow, it sounds cool, but I think I would do gold instead. I didn't really get it until guys who used to read my work at Goldman called me up and go, hey, Bill, we got a whole bunch of guys that used to read your work that can't wait to see what you think about Bitcoin. I was like, well, let me get on it. You know, I went to a conference. You know, I went to work for Charlie Shrem. I charted it by hand. I did everything I could to find what this thing was. And I'm doing the same thing now. Okay, so my little project is antivirus. You know, I own it. I bought some last night. It's talking about what I do is great because it's not investment advice. It's just what I do, right? So if you do it and you lose money, well, then we both lost money. But I'm not giving up on antivirus just the same way I'm not giving up on crypto. It's the same conversation, right? Like Jamie Dimon doesn't want Bitcoin. He doesn't. The banks are scared. The banks are going to have to do some kind of panic FOMO into crypto. Meanwhile, the Orange Man is like, you know what? We want American made now. Like if he says we want our chip business back from Taiwan now, that's pretty controversial. And I read an article by, again, the genius I used to work for, Jordy Visser, who said in an article that he recently wrote that, you know, Taiwan and the chips that they make, like that could be kind of the battle for the ages as to who has influence or who can get access to the chips made out of Taiwan. So as usual, you know, the narrative that everybody thinks is important isn't. What is important is made in America, because not only does the Orange Man want it, he needs it. We as a country cannot afford to have Intel sucking. And I forgot to look at the charts. Okay, so let's look at the charts because there's actually something to look at now. Okay. So here's Intel. And you're like, Bill, I can't believe you're going to make us look at Intel. Okay. Yeah, here's Intel. Okay. So obviously this stock, it's okay. This was like the greatest stock in the whole world going back to 20 years. Like 20 years ago, like this was the most the most powerful entities in all of tech. And this doesn't even show it. I don't even have the history. Meanwhile, Intel, like CEO's a disaster, huge gap down from 30 down to 20. And then the orange man comes out. Nice 13 bottom, nice 9 bottom, nice double bottom, boom, off to the races. This is why XRP is up this morning, in my opinion. This is why XRP is up this morning, because American made is back in the news. And if Intel is moving, then XRP can go too. XRP looks pretty good. Like I said, it went down. You didn't want to see a failed rally. You didn't really see anything. You didn't see anything. You had a little bit of a wobble yesterday that scared me. Exactly. And what are you at a bottom? Scared. Just like everyone last night, antivirus. Like, oh my God, it's all over. I'm selling. Joining Mario Newfall short at 10 cents or below. XRP up this morning, made in America. Solana. I would love it if Solana turned around right here. It's perfect DeMark work for a turnaround. Perfect. Okay. GameStop. Now, so, you know, this is weird. I think you have to look at GameStop weekly. Okay. There should have been a top, and there was. It stopped on a weekly chart, but then it's coming back. GameStop gets above 36. GameStop can run. Now, I know that's dreaming. Okay. And maybe they just sell GameStop. Maybe it's just a one-off news thing. Who cares? But GameStop buying Bitcoin is proof that surprises can happen. Everybody thinks that what's happening now is going to continue to happen. My bags are dead, therefore my bags will stay dead. A month and a half ago, it was like the inauguration is going to happen and it's going to 10x tomorrow. So we went from all bullish to all bearish. We were all bullish and had a surprise, like Michael Saylor on the cover of a magazine. Cringe, market goes down. Now the market's dead, everyone's giving up, and then boom, XRP wakes up. Okay? Please don't give up on crypto. Please don't give up on the idea of your imagination. Sometimes what's bad at face value is actually good, right? The price of eggs, bad. But the orange man intervening to get everything American made going to counter layoffs and high prices is going to happen. And crypto is at the center of that. Everyone's forgotten about that. The orange man is like, what? You forgot about me after a month? Don't be afraid to use your imagination. We'll see you next week.